What's up, freaks and geeks? Welcome to Heathens Hangout with your host with the most, the horrible heathen, and the boogeyman ghost. When you come here, you pay respect to the Red Dead one and only Freaky Mike. What's happening? So felt like I would come on here, man, and try to give the audience a little bit of history on me, a little bit of background, kind of like a intro to me, let's call it. Part of my segment I was talking about stories from the road. So with no added preservatives, no artificial flavors, no name drops, no location drops, the only thing that I will say anything about is if it pertains to me and solely to me. That's the only names, that's the only locations. I'm not about the dry snitching, I'm not about the drama, I'm not about I'm not about all the extracurriculars anymore. When I was a younger man, yes, I was into the extracurriculars, the high-powered narratives, you know what I mean? I was into all of it, but man, I'm a little bit older, I ain't into all that drama. So, let's just go ahead and jump into it. Born in the state of Kentucky, raised in the state of Kentucky, and have predominantly lived in the state of Kentucky my entire life. So, being fortunate as well in my younger age, in my adolescence, I was super fortunate. I was super lucky. A lot of my family were caught up in the fraud game, the dope game, the beating people up for money game, kicking your door, rob your shit game, just criminals and convicts, because any of my people that's ever been to the joint, man, penitentiary, anything like that, they'll tell you real quick, they're not a fucking inmate, they're a convict. So if you've been there, done that, man, explain it to me. I can kind of get where the difference lies, but man, I got a cousin, man, you call him an inmate or an ex-inmate and it's like lightning shoots through his veins. But anyway, this ain't about him, this is about me, and yes, on my platform, I'm going to make it about me today. So, coming up was raised by my grandma. Luckily for me, she wasn't like most of y'all's grandmamas out here nowadays, out here trying to be 40 and, 50 years old in the club and, shaking that moneymaker all over the place. My grandmama was trying to sit the hell down, raise some kiddos, bake cookies, get the Christmas present, the school materials and shit like that. And the way that she raised me was to try to live a little bit more right. Not righteous, not self-righteous, not holier than thou, not looking down my nose at people, judging everybody because of, this, that, and the third. But she tried to raise me to be a good person. To be a good person. Now, along the way in life, we kind of towed over the line here and there, as one does. So, growing up, like I said, very fortunate. Very fortunate to have my grandmother. Very fortunate to have my uncle who was around me, who guided me a lot. Because don't get me wrong, my grandma and some of the women in my family, because yes, no sexism, no misogyny, but yes, my family is predominantly women. I have 2 older sisters. I have God knows how many aunts on just my mom's side of the family. I think I have 2 uncles from my grandma. Now, when it comes to my cousins, most of them are boys, but as far as like my mom and her family, immediate family, my grandma and her immediate family, predominantly women. So they tried to raise your boy a little bit soft, and kind of worked there for the most part. My uncle would try to step in and be like, hey boy, hand me this tape measure, read this tape measure, study this tape measure, study this speed square and everything like that. Trying to get a youngster hip to like a grown man's life at a young age. That's how he was raised. That's how he believed in raising kids. He ain't raising no kids, he's raising grown-ups. Well, that didn't want to take. That didn't want to take until I had turned 16. Let's fast forward a little bit. And I did me a little bit of so-called time. I went to a camp facility known as the Bluegrass Challenge Academy. Sounds nice, don't it? Sounds real nice. Sounds like the kind of place you want to send your kid. And I don't know about the program they're running today, but Back when I was in there, that was only a churched up thing. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try to bag on this academy because they will more than likely sue me for money I don't even have. You know, it is a military camp facility. It's on Fort Knox in the state of Kentucky. Couldn't even tell you what the address is anymore. We're talking 15, 16 years ago at this point. Well, while I was in there, I met some young gentlemen that was really about the high-powered activity that my narrative was based upon. And let me just go ahead and tell you, I did 182 days in that facility. And let me go ahead and tell you, for about the first 90 of them, it wasn't no smooth ride for your boy right here. You know, I had a big mouth. I still got a big mouth. I'll tell you what I think just as soon as look at you if I don't like you. You know, I try to push for positivity, but if I just don't like you and you keep trying to come around me, I have no problem telling you what's on my mind on why I don't like you. You know, I try to be civil. I try to be peaceful. But at the end of the day, if I don't like you, I don't like you, and I don't mind telling you why I don't like your ass. And a lot of these guys in this facility, they weren't really digging that. You know what I mean? They were more doers than talkers. And they turned me into a doer in that facility. You know, where it was just, we're not going to talk about going on work detail. We're just going to do it when we do it. You know, when we get there, we're going to do the damn thing. We ain't going to worry about what we're having for chow. We're going to figure that shit out when we get in the mess hall. You know, we're not going to worry about how many push-ups we're going to do. We're not going to worry about what our cleaning detail or who's going to have this detail this day or who's going to do what that day. Because you're going to find out when you get there, and you're going to do it. You're going to comply. You're going to conform. It's not like county where you're going to lay up after head check and shit like that. No, you're going to roll out that rack. You're going to get up. You're going to program. You're going to comply. You will conform to this program. I did. And it turned me into a doer. It turned me into a damn good man. So let's fast forward a little bit more. You know, I get out. I'm doing my thing. You know, I'm trying to, you know, do what a 17-year-old at the time is trying to do. You know, lost my grandmother shortly after I got out, about 8-9 months after I got out of the facility, may God rest her soul. And, you know, after that, I was lost. I was really lost. You know, I just, not too long before my grandma passed, I just went and done this camp facility, which I don't want to make it sound like, oh yeah, it was a hardcore gangster ass prison, because I'm here to tell you it was not. It was not no level 4 maximum security where you're going to get straight blasted if you get into a fight on the yard. It's not like that. Never was it cracking like that. We had our things in there, you know. We had our get downs, but not to that nature. So that being said, after I lost my grandma, I was lost to the wind. I didn't know. You could have told me, hey man, you're looking down. Nah, I'm looking up. I'm looking up, you know, and I was just like that. I started to go back to my old ways where I was softer, man. I didn't know what to do. I just lash out at a moment's notice and everything like that. But after some time, I had ended up meeting the mother of my kids. And if you're watching this, speaking of her, if you're watching this, I just want to let you know there's no hatred, there's no animosity here, there's no bad blood on my end. I understand you did what you had to do for the betterment of the kids and everything like that. And honestly, thank you for doing what a lot of women around our age range really wouldn't have done in your situation. Like, because by now, them kids would have been somewhere in a whole different lane. So if you're watching this, I just want to say ain't no bad blood on my end. But let's keep it moving and grooving. So I ended up meeting the woman who would end up becoming the mother of my kids. And man, when your kids having kids, a lot of you who's watching this that's on some grown folk business, been there, done that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When your youngsters having youngsters, man, you just don't know no better. And I mean, between me and her, the best thing that ever did come was the kids. But at the same time, we really just tried to make the best out of a young love that turned bad situation. You know what I mean? And we didn't know how to handle that. That's why, you know, I went my way, she went hers, and honestly, probably better people for it. We are probably way better people for it, in hindsight. So, after me and her split up, because I couldn't go nowhere. I had moved so far away from my home, and what I remembered from home at the time was not good, man. All my old homies, they were still running around, doing dumb shit, fucking off, not doing nothing with their lives, like just nowhere fast type cats. Excuse me for a second. My Stevie Nicks mug. Woman was awesome at the Yum Center, in case y'all didn't catch her. Should have been there. You shouldn't have been in the road that we was in with them yappity yap ass bitches fucking behind us, but you know what? It was still a bomb ass show, and Stevie, if you see this, I would still have your babies. If genders were reversed, I would still have your babies, man. 75 years old and you still look good. But again, this ain't about Stevie. This is about me. So, after me and her split up, I was basically a million miles away from home. Didn't really know nobody that wasn't her family, her friends, or friends of her family, or family of her friends. You know, real small podunk boomtown area. And it's beautiful. It's actually a pretty beautiful, cool little place. You know, I'm not going to sit here and tell the name of it because, again, we don't do that. But, so when me and her split up, I was really just trying to work. And not even gonna lie, I was trying to get my wiggle on. Like my homie from Gunner's Gunner's Collective says, I was trying to get my wiggle on out there. You know, so I was more worried about doing dumb shit. Like the same guys that I wasn't trying to come home and see. And plus, you have to think, me and her split up, there's already 2 kids involved. I can't go a million miles away. You know, I know a lot of dudes are going to sit here and be like, oh, yeah, you can. In my mind, I couldn't. So, me and her split up. I meet this one cool, solid-ass homie. And, bro, if you're watching this, Spencer, with all my heart, Spencer, I am sorry, bro. I don't ever say sorry because I don't believe that there's any damn thing sorry about a man. There's a lot of useless men, but I for sure am sorry. If you see this man, you know who I'm talking to. I am sorry. I fucked that up. And this is for you. This is for you. So homie was a real good dude. And when I say a real good dude, I mean, when I was homeless, and when I was living in a place where I didn't have any lights on, I didn't have no running water, I didn't have any food in the fridge, I didn't have a dime to my name or a cigarette in the pack, this man allowed me to come to where he was living and sleep on his couch, wear his sweats, put a blanket over me. And in respect and in return, I was there 10 times out of 10. I didn't give a shit if I was at work. Homie got into a hell of a car wreck one day. And from where the shop was that we were based out of to the hospital that they had took him to was every bit of 10 miles. By the time I had got off of work, he had ended up actually getting to the hospital a couple hours before I got off work. And I tried to walk every bit of that before dude's dad came and picked me up and carried me the rest of the way to the hospital. And I was sitting there with his family, when he came out of surgery. I'll tell you, we'll actually go into a story. This ain't for that right now, but we'll go into a story, and I'll tell y'all how I single-handedly fucked that up. I'm a good dude. I've done a lot of fuck shit in my past. So there's that. So, that being said, keeping it moving and grooving, I meet this cat, man. we start finding out each other is like pretty cool cats, pretty solid dudes, man. We're kicking it, we're getting introduced, and I stay around this little area, and we're all chilling, everything's going good and everything. Well, one day I decided I'm gonna pack my bag and I'm gonna travel for a living, you know what I mean? And I started traveling, and that is where I found my Avenged Sevenfold nightmare. Started doing a lot of drugs, lot of drugs. Not just the baby shit, you know. I've been popping pills since I was a youngster. I'm talking about I'm out there popping all kinds of pills. I'm doing blow. I accidentally shoved H up my nose one night, come to find out. I have no shame. I've done what I've done. And most of the shit that I'm talking about is at least 10 years in the past or close to 10 years on the past. So there's that. Well, you know, I started getting out of control, started getting out of hand. Started seeing my kids a lot less. So when I came home, because I couldn't travel anymore, I came home to not a whole lot. And not a whole lot to look forward to, except for the homies and the activities that I was involved in. Straight up. So after that, ended up just saying, fuck it. Moved back home. To my hometown, my home county here in Kentucky. Moved back, you know, everything was chilling. Met a good woman, great woman. Tell you how great this woman is. We've been together for a little over 5 years, and when I was down on my dick, as one would say it, when I just had nothing, this woman spent $300 and something for tickets that allowed us to go see Stevie Nicks at the Yum Center. So, there's that. And not only to prove that, oh, because money motivates you, money is what makes you love. No, that was just a recent thing. When me and her was actually first starting to get together and kicking it and everything, we had saved a little bit of money. Her more than me. I was sitting there fighting a little misdemeanor possession and no insurance bullshit. In the county I was trying to get away from. So, ended up down there, told her, look, this is what I'm going to put on it. And she was like, nah, let's put this much on it. Which this much, a little bit more than this much, you know what I mean? And when the judge told me to stand up, he was like, you got something to pay, or, you know, you ready to go to the back real quick. And I seen a couple of dudes that was sitting there, you know, getting ready to do their little pre-trial or arraignments or whatever like that. I seen a couple of homies sitting there. And let me go ahead and tell you, me and these homies ain't on a good term. Or it wasn't at the time. And I'm just like, man, I'm sitting there thinking, I know if I go back here, man, like I might get a little 6 months, but man, I'm going to pick me up a couple of assault charges, something. You know, just the worst was going through my head because I did not care for this place and I did not care for these people. And like I said, never been in an adult facility. So I was just like, damn this, you know, yeah, we'll go ahead and put this on because I can make more money out here in these streets than I can behind that wall, right? Right. Because the whole point of running the streets, or at least when I was a youngster, this is what we believed in. When you're out there running the streets, the objective of running the streets is to not get caught. All these dudes out here bragging about how much time they got. What are you bragging for, bro? You're dumb. You got caught. Even in 2023, you can still get away with some shit. Like, I wouldn't know anything about it allegedly, but, you know, I mean, you could still get away with some shit. And this woman put almost a little over half of what we had saved up. And again, majority of this money being hers to keep me out on the streets and working. It's a hell of a woman. I don't know too many women that would do that. You know, smart women anyhow. I know there's a lot of dumb women out there, but I'm telling you, my baby ain't no dummy. I promise you that. No dummy there. And yeah, I gotta talk this good because she kind of sitting in the other room too, you know, so I gotta whoop whoop a little bit. But anyhow, so fast forwarding through that, man, like came back home, and since I've been back home for the past 5 years, I've met a lot of cool people up here. You know, and things have really changed around this area. You know, would I ever go back to the area? where my kids are, more than likely, we might get into some stories about that later. You know what I mean? It's a touchy subject for me, but you know what I mean. The whole point of this platform for me is to vent my anger and try to give some sort of little positive message with these videos. Yeah, I do the mobster and monster reviews, but my stories from the road and my For the Mental segments, I try to put a little positive message. So I guess the thing for this is as a youngster, I had created so much hell on earth for myself in my home county. I had people that have hated me. I got people that still really don't like me since elementary school, but they're busters, man. They're some L7s. But you know, I've met a lot of cool people. So I guess my thing is I left my home running, trying to find something else, and ran right into what I was trying to run away from eventually. You know, I did drugs as a youngster. I started doing drugs after a while once, you know, me and the baby mom split and I started having less activity and involvement in my children's lives. So here's the thing that I guess I could leave y'all with today, if anything. It's not where you are, it's who you are. And when you figure that out, you'll change who you are to get where you want to go in life. And don't ever be scared to go there, even if it means going back to unsavory territories, and even if it means, you know, going through a couple of uncharted ones. Never be scared to go anywhere. Never hold yourself back. Because, like I said, it's not where you are, it is who you are. You know, I stopped doing drugs and being a drug addict when I realized I didn't want to be a drug addict anymore. You know, I stopped outlashing and doing real damage and harm to myself. And not to say that I was suicidal or like cut my wrist or anything, but I mean, when I say myself, like, if I flatten my own tire on my own vehicle, I'm causing damage to myself because the only one who's hurting from that would be me. And yes, I have done that before, you know, just to keep from doing damage to somebody else's stuff. You know, I don't do that anymore because that's not who I am anymore. So with that being said, you know, I'm going to sign off of here. I might drop another one today. I might do a mobster monster review on the movie Casino. That's right. We're going to twist that light bulb and get an idea going today. And my man Joe Pesci. And I'm off of here. You know, make your next move your best move. Make power moves in your shower shoes. Tell the ones that you love them. And if you liked this video, hit like. Hit the subscribe button. If you didn't, hit the thumbs down because that's cool with me too. You know, and if you liked the video, tell me what you liked about it. Tell me what you didn't like about it. If there's any type of movie reviews or video reactions that you want me to do, let me know in the comments. Out of here.